Good morning, my friends, and welcome. This is Father Marcus from the Costa Blanca Anglican Chaplaincy, and delighted that we can spend just a little bit of time today thinking about things that are having a bearing on the way that we live our lives at the moment. I hope you're feeling, as my mum used to say, all merry and bright, or bright and breezy. That's what she used to say. And the reason I ask that is because I'm coming across an increasing number of folk who are not feeling all merry and bright, but feeling a little bit or a lot exhausted with just the way that everything is at the moment, exhausted with all the things that relating to the pandemic, all the things that relating to the fact that we can't do the things that we long to do or take for granted. People are weary because they can't just be with the ones that they love in the way that they used to and the way that they have taken for granted for years. People are exhausted with the great issues that are going on in our lives at the moment. And it's a very real thing, it's a very real feeling and emotion. And it's not just people dealing with exhaustion physically, they are mentally exhausted, they're emotionally exhausted, and they're spiritually exhausted as well. I'm finding people saying that they're having trouble saying their prayers and finding the joy that they used to have. I'm experiencing people who are very much feeling that they can't hear God speaking to them at the moment. I'm finding people saying, where is God in all of this? And those are very real emotions and very real feelings. And I too am exhausted by the whole thing. And I endeavour every day to count my blessings and remind myself how much I'm loved by God and by other people. And it's tough. There's no getting away from it. It's tough. But it does bring me back to some teaching that I received when I was very early in my ministry. And that was, when the going gets tough, fall back on that pattern of prayer that you have had and you continue to have. And even when you don't feel like it, that's probably the time when you need to do it most. And as clergy, we are called to say our morning and evening prayer daily. And I have that pattern. And I also, not every day, but many days, look at the readings that we would have in church if we were having a communion service. And today has been one of those days where the readings just burst out with exactly what we need to hear. Let me read to you the gospel reading that we would have if we were having a communion service today. And it's simply this, from Matthew chapter 11. Come to me, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. We know that Jesus knows the secrets of our hearts. We know that Jesus is always with us. We know that Jesus knows us better than we know ourselves. And we also know that in his teaching we find exactly what we need to help us in every situation we find ourselves in. And when we're weary and when we're exhausted and when we're struggling physically and emotionally, mentally and spiritually, we resort to Scripture and we are given this comfort. We are given this teaching that makes so much sense. We are called to come to Jesus because when we're weary, he gives us the support and the love and the fellowship and the strength that we need. We just rest in him, we abide in him and he abides in us. We just allow ourselves to wallow in the presence of Jesus Christ, and he gives us his strength. And he says, I will give you rest. And take my yoke upon you, take that teaching upon him, and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart. And you will find rest for your souls. That is the ultimate rest that we need when we're weary, rest for our souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Sometimes we fall into a trap of thinking we've got to do all the hard work to make our relationship with Jesus work. And we've got to do all the hard work striving to find joy, striving to find peace, striving to find strength, striving to find happiness, striving to find bliss, when all along it's there in the presence and person of Jesus Christ. It's not about us striving. It's about us accepting the rest and the presence that is given to us freely. You know, when we strive so hard, what we're doing is exercising that ego that is in us that thinks that we have got to make it okay. We've got to find that thing that is an offer. But when we rest within our pattern of prayer, we immediately discover that what we're striving for is already there. It's already there. And it brings rest for our souls. What a beautiful phrase that is. And if that wasn't enough for us today, before I read those readings that we would have at the Eucharist, I did my morning prayer. And again, the Psalms just spoke volumes. One of the beautiful things about the Psalms is that they are an outpouring on so many different occasions of people's emotions and feelings and relationship with God. And they're not designed just to say to God, these are the things I think you want to hear. They are an opening up of the very soul. And our psalm today, Psalm 62, was a great psalm. It was a beautiful psalm, but the refrain that was repeated through the psalm and at the beginning and at the end was simply this, and let me read it to you. Wait on God alone in stillness, O my soul. Once again, we're reminded that we find God in the stillness and we allow our soul to wait on him. They fit together, those readings. It's not about striving. It's not about trying too hard. It's not about working and working and working to be perfect. It is about allowing our souls to rest in the presence of God, and in that resting we will find his peace and his bliss, and in so doing our souls will find rest. Jesus doesn't heap burdens upon us, and sometimes religions force us to look for these burdens, and when we read the scriptures, they're not there. They are not there. Come to me, all you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest, says Jesus. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. I pray that we will all today find rest for our souls. Bless you, bless you, bless you. Until next time.